Hey, editing Michi here. So, two things. One, I am actually doing, for a little shameless shill, this video is sponsored by me. Hi. I am actually going to be doing pre-orders right now. They will be done, I believe I said by September 9th, just for the pre-order bonuses. After that, they'll just be up in the store. But I really wanted to dip my toe into the acrylic pin game. These are not enamel pins, they are acrylic pins. But yeah, I've seen other people doing them. I've wanted to do them myself. I want to do other things. So I will have the Etsy link for them down below. I have all original designs and one fan art Halloween-y inspired one by my favorite Halloween movie. I'm also doing the pre-orders now, so that way if people are overseas, they can actually get like the Halloween pin, perfect example, in time for Halloween because of certain things going on in the world that you two will let me talk about. Their shippings have been delayed for some countries and stuff, so that's also why I want to do the pre-orders early. So I do have all of these designs up as stickers in my shop currently, except for the Ghosty and the Strawberry, because that was technically a Patreon exclusive sticker. So the only way to get that would be to become a patron at by the time this month is done, which is August, which I don't know when this video is going up, but and if not, the pre-orders do get a sticker with it. Other than that, that's the pre-order bonuses for the pins for pre-ordering. If people are like, oh, well, what if I can't pre-order now? The pre-ordering is just to get the stock, fun business stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. Another thing I wanted to say for the second thing, this is very much like a podcasty style kind of ramble I was just doing with my friend one day, so it's not really scripted or well done. It was a funny topic that my friend and I wanted to talk about and ramble on about. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you as always. And yeah, let's get on to the video. Bye-bye. All right. So hi guys. This is a very impromptu random video, but I got the bug because an amazing friend of mine who is a guest with me today, Quan.
Hello.
Is here because a little while ago she made this post on Twitter that's just stuck in my brain and it's rotting away because it is something that we've wanted to talk about for a long time, and I've wanted to talk about it for a long time, and I actually talk about it a lot with my friends. So before we get into that topic, so we don't forget, thank you as always my Patreon patrons. We love you all so much. And if you want, Quan is also running a Patreon campaign for the game, because your game does have a Patreon, right? Yeah, so I'll link that down below if you want to support a future indie game dev who's also going to be at San Japan, right? Because you're going to be at San Japan 2021. Yeah, so it's kind of a collab, also shouting out one of my besties. And so, yeah, I will actually have her social media above mine in the description down below. But yeah, if you like us, let's do that. And this is also going to be a very rambly, podcasty topic type of video. I don't have a podcast, but this is what it's like when I have my friends on with me. I mean, just remember what happened with the TV tropes thing all over again. But now we are here. So, Quan, how do you want to start this?
Oh, man. I guess my tweet?
Yeah, sure. Go with your tweet. Read your tweet off.
That made you absolutely bonkers? Okay, let me tweet. I lost it. It doesn't work. I will summarize. Okay, so basically, like, my whole thing was like, I don't know what it is, but like fandoms are just the way people talk about them nowadays. It just doesn't like represent the fandom at all. Like it's very, I guess niche would be a good word.
I guess so. Or we just see something that just doesn't describe the game whatsoever, or the media, the show, the book, whatever. And because in your tweet, you talked about how you're like, you don't know if it's gatekeeping or if it's just like, bad
just
example
like,
of media.
Like, am I just on that side of Twitter or like,
I don't think you are, because we are on like drastically different Twitters just from our likes, but we still see the same crap. Like,
yeah.
And so another example of this too is, I think another thing, and we have examples, we literally wrote down like media we both enjoy a lot that other people have either ruined or tainted before we even got into it, and sometimes just like soiled the thing as a whole. But I've also seen it happen too, where people will like latch on to a singular thing and then just go wild with it. Like, people have your headcanons. I've got nothing wrong with people's headcanons. I have headcanons for stuff. Yeah, I've got a lot of headcanons for things. But I also don't like when your headcanon is proven wrong in the work, and then you like you see people lose their mind about it. I see it a lot with My Hero. I see it a lot with IDV. I see it everywhere where like, oh my god, my headcanon didn't come true, or oh my god, my ship wasn't an OTP. And then it's like, you can still have that headcanon, but it like in the actual canon of the media, it's not there. But you see people that like, do you know what I'm talking about? They kind of like make it their whole character. Like,
I do, and like especially in the context of it's like when it's something you don't know about, you think it is canon because it's all you see.
Yeah, and that's what we wrote down here because it's literally all we see. So the first thing I wanted to go to is a little personal story of mine, but it has to do with the game BloodBorne. First of all, before I get into it, I love the game BloodBorne, but
So good.
I did not get to play this game for so long because of people like we are going to talk about later on in this video, because we don't really have a name for it right now, and whatever the title is going to be in post, we are both brain rot and can't think of one right now, so we will have a better title in post. When I remember when the trailer dropped for, like, at E3 for BloodBorne, and my gothic aesthetic double hockey sticks, because YouTube is dumb. I know it's all, but whatever. That's what my brain went with, so we're going with that instead of the A word. Made me just explode. I wanted this game. The second I saw it, I loved it. I was so excited. Never played a Souls game before in my life, and I didn't know it was attached to Souls in any way. And it's not, from what I know, it's not attached to Souls, right? Like, plot-wise, it's not.
Plot-wise, it is not.
That's what I thought. Yeah, plot-wise. I know it's by the same...
Like,
I know it's by the same developer, and I know they put, like, Easter eggs in, I think, like, the remake of Souls or something like that. But it was, like, a fun hee-hee Easter egg.
I've had it described to me by Souls bros.
Well, that's
and
what I mean.
It never makes sense.
Well, that's what I mean. I had it described to me by Souls Bros, too. So literally what happened was, when I was talking to my friend back when the game was announced, my friend just literally cut me at the knees. They're like, well, Michelle, you don't like hard games. It's a really hard game. You can't pick a difficulty. You can't pick a difficulty. You're gonna die all the time. The bosses are really hard. It's all boss rush mode. And no. And it deterred me from it. Because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought, like, the trailer lied to me, which the trailer doesn't lie. I was like, oh, okay, it looks like a cool gothic steampunk aesthetic, hack and slash, but I guess it's not. I took it as something along the lines of, like, the way it was described to me was like an uber hardcore bro first person shooter, so I just never touched it. I didn't watch anything on it. I was devastated. And years later, it's all I ever heard about it from, like, people who were really obsessed with it in my personal friend group. It's before I realized, like, Quan and my other friends played it. It was always described to me as, like, if you don't like uber hardcore, you have to be, like, really strategic and really work on your builds and really do this. You are not going to have fun. So I just never touched it. So, ironically enough, for my birthday, I believe it was last year, my friend, our friend, Letters of Sky, actually bought me the PS4 version for my birthday because it was, like, dirt cheap because it's been out for a million years. And I remember being so, like, hesitant because I'm like, I was, because so many people, it wasn't one person, I had at least 5 different people in my friend group, in my core friend group who liked games, tell me I wouldn't have fun with this, it wasn't fun. Not a single one of them told me it was a hack and slash. Not a single one told me it was a hack and slash. And so when I got into playing it, I'm like, this game is so fun, and I felt so ripped off. I felt so cheated. Because I didn't get to enjoy it when it came out.
Like, even having played it, like, I still have people try to, like, bro me on this game. Like, they're like, oh, you use this weapon, not this weapon? No! I went through the entire game with the cane whip!
Yeah.
And I kicked out. But, like, really, like, it's so dumb. I'm like,
Also, no one explained to me at all, I'm sorry to cut you off, nobody explained to me at all that the whole thing is because of Cthulhu monsters. Like, not a single person told me it's an Eldritch Horror steampunk game. And I don't even see that anywhere now, unless you've already played it. So when I played it and I saw the Cthulhu thing for the first time in the sky, just peeking out watching you, I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's the old ones, or the ancient ones, what were they called? I forget.
Oh.
I just know,
want to say the old ones.
I think it was the old ones. I just know it's the one dude by, like, the clock tower. If your insight's high enough, you watch him just grab you after getting the top hat. It was, like, right away. Yeah, that one. Yeah. And I was like, what is that? And Sky, my friend Sky, because our friend Sky's also really big into BloodBorne, they were explaining how it's like, oh yeah, they're just like, if your, like, insight is, like, high enough, you'll just see them, like, creeping on walls and buildings and stuff. And I'm like, that is so cool. And, like, yeah, the plot is kind of deep. I will admit that. but it's not easy to it's not hard to understand. If you play through the game, you can easily follow along with it, even though they go with Cthulhu monster logic. So, you know, but that's what made me so mad, because even today I see people do that. Like, I remember when I was talking to a friend of mine about how I got into BloodBorne, and I was talking about, like, oh yeah, it's really fun, and I learned that, like, dying was kind of a part of the game to learn how to play the game. Quan, you know what this person said to me? They're like, oh, well, it's not a part of the game. You're supposed to be strategic and think through it. And, like, I have so many echoes or whatever, or blood. I forgot what it's called. I said echoes.
Blood echoes.
Yeah, they're blood echoes. It's like, because you're not supposed to die. You're not playing it right, Michelle, if you're dying. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Be able to get them back? That's so
what I said.
Stupid.
Well, also, the whole point is dying, because that's how you get to the other world, like, hub. You need to die to get there to get the upgrades.
Oh, that's so dumb. Oh my gosh.
But that's the thing. Like,
imagine being such a bro that you can't even let yourself die in a game where you're supposed to die.
Yeah, like, I mean, cool. I'm sure there's an achievement for that, for achievement hunters, which, by the way, if you're an achievement hunter and it brings you joy and you're not a jerk, go ahead. But nearly almost every achievement hunter I've ever known personally was a jerk. They were literally like, oh, well, you didn't platinum everything in every game ever. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't sound like fun.
That's extremely stupid, especially considering the guys that usually gatekeep BloodBorne are, like, Dark Souls boys.
Yeah.
And, like, I know y'all are dying in that game. Don't even try. I've seen that game. Don't even.
For me, BloodBorne was a really big one. But, Quan, I would like you to get into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, no. Okay. So I would like to thank our also another mutual friend, the Zodiac Lord, for getting me into JoJo's.
Oh, me too. No, me too. Me too. Like, and our friend Holly.
At the same time, we were there. We were all there in person. And he was like, hey, guys, let's watch JoJo's. And I was like, do we have to? Because I have heard nothing but the broest comments about this anime and how it's a cinematic masterpiece and it's so intense and deep and beautiful.
By the way, I think we should emphasize too, while we're saying, when we are saying bro, we are not inherently meaning, because I realize we're saying bro a lot because that's what we think of it as. We're talking about bro, the personality type, not bro, the gender. Because I've met girls that were bros. I've met that. So, you know what I mean?
I'm like, we hang with the bros, but this is like the bruh, like bruh bro.
Yeah, no, because the same thing. Same with our friend Holly. I know she talked about it too. For the longest time, anyone who would ever talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it would be like, it's a cinematic masterpiece. It's like peak art. You have to be like, I hate to be it, but it's kind of like Rick and Morty stands, you know what I mean?
Yes,
where it's like,
is.
oh, if you're just not intelligent enough, you're not going to get JoJo. And some people who are JoJo fans are probably laughing like, haha, what? These people exist, and they are very common. They are very common.
So common.
They might not be that common online, but in real life, the basic fan is like that. I've met many of them, and it's what made me not want to watch it for such a long time. And then I watched it, and I'm like, what is this chaotic dumpster fire of fun?
So funny.
Like, it's hilarious. And then, like, you see stuff, and you're like, well, no, duh, it's supposed to be hilarious. But here's the thing. There are things that look really funny and then are just bad. Personally, in my personal opinion, I hate the Devilman Crybaby remake. I think it's terrible. And everybody's just like, if you just don't like it, it's because you don't understand the deep. I'm like, no, I got the deeper meaning. I'm not an idiot. I got the whole point. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things we didn't need in that show, in the remake. We just didn't need. You know what I mean? But a lot of people take it and they're like, oh, haha, like, this looks weird and it's bad, makes sense. So you see stuff like that, and then you hear people be like, it's a tour de force and you need all of the strongest edumacation, and you need to, like, have, like, no, to understand the deep analysis and the deep meaning of JoJo characters. When, what was it Morgan described it to us that made us watch it? I think it was something like, the reason why he finally watched it was someone was like, oh yeah, later on there's a bunch of sentient shrimp in a suit or something like that. And I was like, there's a
lady made of shrimp. She's literally just shrimp.
I know, and I'm sitting here like, wait, what? And then we sat there and we watched it and we're like, this is hilarious. This is so funny. No wonder so many people like it. But so many people and, like, people in the fandom ruin it. Like, another good example. I didn't know that, oh, I think his name was Caesar. I don't remember correctly. I just know that his whole thing was bubbles. Like, he blew bubbles, and I'm like, why am I not seeing stuff like that? Or the one JoJo that's like, oh, don't make fun of me and my clacky balls. I'm like, this is hilarious. But you see so many people just like, no, it's like blah, 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 and the art style makes it look one way, but it's another thing, and then you watch it, and you're like, oh, but the problem is it makes people not want to watch it. It makes people not want to give it a shot, because I didn't for years, because of people like that.
Like, really... Like, when we were watching it, I didn't even pay attention to, like, the first half of the first season because I was like, bro, I'm not gonna watch that. It's stupid. And then I hear it in the background and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah. I think you were on your Switch on the blow-up mattress.
I think I was drawing my D&D character at the time.
Oh, that could have been the thing too. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just, like, put it down and I, like, turned around to face the TV and I'm like, this is really good. Like, when they're like talk about, like, hormone.
Yeah! Oh, yeah! Oh, God. But, and another thing, too, is we're going to talk about quite a few fandoms and stuff here, so mild spoilers for all of these things, but it's literally the only way we can talk about this topic, so, yeah, I realize that now, but there's no way around it. We can't talk about this stuff without spoiling some of it mildly. So the next one I want to get into, because I want to get into it before we get into the next topic, because I just realized it. So earlier in 2020, myself, Quan, Morgan, our friend Grace, our friend Tiffany, and Letters of Sky were really into this game, Identity V. I'm still very much into this game. I apologize to people who follow my Instagram and Twitter and are getting spammed with it. I would say sorry, not sorry, but I still love it a lot. So
it's our comfort fandom.
It really is, and it's a comfort game for me. But I'm also, like, I do admit, I love the lore in the game. I love the deep things. I love the essences they go into. But when you come down to the gameplay, it's a Dead by Daylight knockoff. And it's not a knockoff in the insulting way, because Natisse asked the company to use the engine. Yeah. So to me, I always keep that in mind. So I let people know that I'm like, hey, if you're going to get into this, be prepared to play Dead by Daylight, because that's the gameplay. And yes, they have Chasing Shadows and stuff now, but a perfect example of this is, I remember that I first of all thought it was really funny, so if you guys don't know about these characters, I apologize, there's no other way for me to do it without talking about them. But, like, every character in IDV gets, like, a birthday letter, which puts some context into their personality or something. And if you're a hunter, it's a character day letter, and either way, you're getting to know the character more, and it's just a neat little thing, right? And I remember when Aesop's birthday letter came out. Aesop is the embalmer, and the whole thing was really funny because he considered Victor the postman a friend, and he wanted to kill him, and he wanted to embalm him because it was his friend. And I thought that was hilarious. You had so many people who made memes in the fandom, but you had other people be like, Aesop isn't a serial killer, and I'm like, yes, he is.
Oh, like, honey,
no, there's so many
playing the same game.
No, that's what I mean. But there's also a lot of people who Crutcher / thief.
Ooh, who they woo at him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, he never hurt the kids in his orphanage. Oh, he's not creepy with Emma, because there's certain words we can't say on YouTube, but it's heavily implied. And then his birthday letter came out, and it proved, wow, he was a creep. And I saw so many people in the IDV fandom lose their mind that Crutcher wasn't an uwu soft boy, and I'm not even kidding.
Oh,
like, full on,
he
like,
looks nasty.
They make him look nasty. But that's the whole point. Is the whole point of the game, the kind of inside joke with IDV, is a lot of the survivors are bad people or crazy.
Awful.
And a lot of the hunters are, wow, your life sucked, we're gonna make it worse.
There are very few soft babies.
Very few.
Problematic. Yeah. Like, maybe a good handful.
The only ones I can think of would be, like, Helena, because girl just wants to go to college. Like, that's it. Like, she's like, mine's I just want to go to college, and I'm blind.
Naiad's pretty tame right now.
Yeah, but she was also murdered. That's what I'm talking about. Most of the hunters were, you're a good person, just dealt a wrong thing. Like, most of, not all.
And then the survivors are like, yeah, I killed a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, I killed a bunch of people. Or, oh, wow, I sold children into slavery. Or
soft baby.
Yeah, or I was raised by a serial killer, so I'm gonna be a serial killer. Like, that's kind of like the joke, but it's also in the game.
It's
and
so true.
This is what we're talking about, though, is like people can have headcanons, but then I see it a lot where their headcanon is proven wrong and then they lose their mind because they're like, what?
So rude about it. Oh my gosh.
That's what I mean. But the reason why I'm bringing up IDV first is not just that it's my hyperfixation, but when Genshin came out last year as well, a lot of people who were in IDV left IDV to play Genshin. And so originally I had a bias for there because there are people who were like, oh my god, Genshin is so much better than IDV. More people need to leave IDV for Genshin, So originally I had a little bit of a bias there. But then when I watched gameplay of it, I'm like, it's not even the same gameplay. Like, why are you they are two completely different games. Quan, now that you've played Genshin, is there anything similar?
No, nothing at all. Nothing.
Yeah, and so, but that's what I wanted to bring into that, was a lot of people were comparing it to that because it's a mobile game. And I'm like, you know what else is a mobile game? Candy Crush. I'm not gonna compare Candy Crush to Genshin, like, just because it's a mobile game. But I would like, Quan, because I've been doing a lot of talking, for you to get into your, like, what you heard about Genshin and what you were hesitant about it, and then what you learned from playing it.
Gosh. So, like, my Twitter was nothing but like ship art, and I'm like, that's cool, I guess. Like, there are some really pretty outfits, but like, I've played gacha games before, and I was pretty much like, you played one gacha game, you've played them all. Like, yeah, the outfits are pretty, but I can look at them without playing a game. But you see, I am a very good friend, and I like to play any games that my friends tell me to play. So I finally decided to play it, and I was like, what the heck? Why did no one tell me this game was so cute? I thought you just, like, fought as, like, characters you got out of a random role. I've played the
That's how I thought, too. Like, when yeah.
And, like, there's so much more to do. You get to cook. You get to go on adventures. I love foraging. You can go look for mushrooms. Live out your cottagecore dreams as a cute little girl. Like, what?
Oh, just wait until you get the teapot, because then they're like, we threw Animal Crossing in the mix.
Teapot?
Oh yeah, no. When you get to they do make you be a certain world level for it, but it's not too high because I got to it. I think you have to be world level like 35, like what I am. And you do have to do certain parts of the main story, but once you get the teapot, you literally get a house like Animal Crossing, and you can build like a house inside your teapot, and there's a little... I'll show you later. But that's how I felt. All I ever saw people talking about was Genshin, was the lolli discourse, shipping discourse, and that it's a gacha game. That's all I ever saw. So I didn't touch it for the longest time. I just didn't touch it. And then when I started playing it, I'm like, okay, it is really fun. It is a gacha game. We're not going to say it's not. If you get a 5-star character and you want to build up that character, they do make it where you got to pay. I hate to say it, like, there's no way you're going to get like a full mid-maxed 5-star character without putting some money in. It's just how it's going to be. But you don't have to do that, technically. You don't have to main a 5-star. You can do a lot with the 4 stars. You can do a lot with the building mechanics. But
bro, I've been playing it less than a week, and I've probably already put in more than like 10 hours.
Oh yeah, no, like, there's a lot to do in it, and I like it because technically, yes, it is free to play. Technically, it is. You know, you can download it for free and play it for free and do the story for free. You know,
it's very slurpy.
It is. But what makes me upset is, like, I will admit I'm not that good at the game, but all I ever saw of it was kind of like World of Warcraft vibes, because I played World of Warcraft. So I legit thought it was just, alright, you're gonna look like cute anime characters, and you're gonna go fight bosses, like, once a week. That's what I kind of thought of it as. And then I played it, and I'm like, the story is so funny. Like, I make fun of the story, because it's so out there. But
even, like, the not story, just, like, frickin' Timmy on the bridge. Like,
yeah, Timmy on the bridge. Literally, Aether and Lumen are aliens. They're literally aliens.
Yeah, I love it.
But there are a lot of people who again, in the fandom, like, when their people are like, oh yeah, it's really funny, they're like aliens from outer space. Because they are. They talk about flying around to different worlds, and they just go to planets. You know what does that? Aliens.
Aliens.
And so, a lot of people are like, no, they are otherworldly traveling beings, and I'm like, so aliens.
Aliens.
Like, you know,
stop taking yourself so seriously.
What other game do you have where the first big boss fight is beating the crap out of a dragon to pop his depression blood clots and then tell him that he's still loved as a friend? Genshin Impact. Like, Oh, don't even get me started when I finished the Leeway stuff, because I loved the Leeway stuff, but that one's a whole nother mess of story. It's so funny. It's so funny. But, like, that's what I'm talking about. Not enough people are talking about that. So many more people are latching onto headcanons and ship art, which I do admit, I like ship art. I like headcanons. But I'm not letting it control my whole life for it, and I'm not letting people think, because guess what? In Genshin, from what I have seen so far, there are no confirmed couples. So, like, you're having
even
people...
though
yeah?
I didn't even know that, like, the main characters were, like, the main characters. I was just, wow, that's a really popular shipping character.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow, they really like that chick.
Yeah. Poor Lumen.
And then I was like, oh.
But I think this
she's
is a
the main
good...
character.
But that's what I mean, where we're talking about that, and that's going into shipping goes into the, I think, one of the biggest and saddest examples in modern media at the time we are recording this. At the time we're recording this, because, you know, stuff can be dated. Owl House.
Owl House.
Literally,
I avoided it.
I did too.
Like the plague.
I avoided Owl House like the plague, because literally all I knew... Now, first of all, I think I can say this just for some context. Quan and I are of the LGBTQIA plus variety. We are of the gay. And so, I admit, we need more representation in media. We do. We just blatantly do. But when I say representation... Like but when I say... We don't talk about Shira in this house. Adora could have done so much better than Catra. I'm gonna just sit on I'm gonna die on that hill.
I'll die with you.
Same with Scorpia.
Hand in hand.
I was gonna say Scorpio. No, Scorpia, like...
It was a throwaway ship, and you can't convince me it wasn't.
Exactly. So, we're not here to do video essays on She-Ra, but we both have... we both have very strong opinions on it. But with Owl House, I did not know, and now, with how it's going, I didn't know how funny the show was. I didn't know how funny the show was until I sat down and watched it, because all I knew from Twitter and Instagram and anybody that would talk about it is that we have a bisexual lead, which is awesome. I will admit that, especially in kids media. I'm happy, but I knew nothing about the show. I didn't know there was a magic school concept. I didn't know how funny King and Ida were, or Ada, however you want to say her name. I didn't know how great... funny. I didn't know how great the allegory for, like, living with, like, some sort of, like, mental issue as, like, Ada's owl, like, monster is, you know? Or, like, just as... Because I think it's a good allegory for kids. And I've also, from the episodes I've watched, they do have really good lessons in the show that, like, I think are great for a younger generation to go up with. As well as the fact that I really like that Luz is unapologetically quirky. And not in the, ooh, woo, I'm different from other girls way. She's just that weird girl. Which is, you know,
I could have used that as a kid. Oh my gosh.
Exactly, because whenever it was done when we were kids, it was always like, oh yeah, here's the girl that's like obsessed with bugs. Like they gave her like one thing that was kind of weird.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And Luz's hyperfixation is so relatable.
Yeah.
Especially in modern times.
Oh,
just like, hey, I want to be this cool heroine too. Like, yeah, girl, go for it. Live out your magical dreams.
Yeah. Like, and that's what I mean, though, is, like, her being weird is a part of who she is. It isn't, oh, she's Lutz, the weird girl. She's so much more than that. And I think that is such a great thing for young people to grow up with, especially if you think that you're, like, different or weird or what you like isn't liked by other things. Because I know I was the only kid in middle school that loved horror movies.
I was a weird kid.
So, well, that's what I mean. I was a weird kid. You know what I mean? So I could have liked something like that, where whenever the weird kid was portrayed, we weren't portrayed like a monster or a freak. You know what I mean? Like,
we grew up with a lot of media. We grew up with a lot of media where, like, the weird kid was bullied, and that was pretty much all we ever got.
Yeah, you were the joke, pretty much. You know, or you don't want to end up like the weird kid, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, and so with that, I love that. I never got a single thing of that from anything I've seen fan art wise on Twitter. I just haven't seen a single thing. All I have seen was that Lutz and Amity get together. That's all I ever saw.
Yep.
And while it is great and awesome and good media, when people latch onto that one thing, it destroys so much of the show. Because when I started watching the show finally, again, I wasn't prepared for it to be as funny as it was.
I was not prepared for the humor and just like the overall quirkiness. I don't think I've ever laughed as much as a pilot episode as I have for the Owl House.
Yeah.
It was so funny and just weird and out there, and like it was so good. It's so good, and there are characters that I didn't even know existed.
Like Hootie?
Like King.
Like Hootie?
Hootie!
I love Hootie. You know, like there's so many characters out there, and they're not even side characters. They are important characters in the show, but it also made me a little upset because I knew that people latched onto the ship so hard. When we first met Amity, I didn't give her much weight because I'm like, you're gonna be with Lutz. Eventually, you're gonna be with her because that's all I see. So a part of that was kind of ruined for me because I didn't get to see how, in my mind, I think they did a really realistic kind of enemies to lovers thing for kids. Because
they did it so well.
They did it really, really well. Again, you would never know that from anything you see online or from the fandom or from what people talk about. Now, obviously, I'm sure there could be some people in the comments that are like, well, I watched this video essay by so-and-so and so-and-so. It's like,
oh, gosh.
I mean, I have too. I'm not going to lie. I watch those as well. But the average person isn't going to watch that.
I'm the average person.
You know what I mean? They're not going to watch it. They're going to want to watch the show and the thing and find it really funny. But it's when, like, shipping stuff like that kind of destroys it. Now, back to representation. I know for a fact, and I believe it's season 2, a non-binary character shows up in the show. This is great. I also think it's great that Owl House went through the extra efforts to even get a non-binary voice actor to voice them. I think that's awesome. Because of the fandom, I could not tell you a single thing about their personality. I don't know anything about them besides that people love that they're non-binary on Twitter.
I haven't even seen tweets like that.
Oh, I've seen so many where they're like, oh yeah, non-binary character of the day, and so-and-so is this. And I'm like, okay, but like, because I know how the writing in this show is, because I'm not currently caught up, I know this character is going to be probably really deep and interesting or funny, but all I see from the fandom is they're non-binary. Isn't that great? And a lot of my non-binary friends hate that kind of representation of like, great, I'm happy that I'm a check mark. Because again,
congratulations,
I'm sure,
you're a gender. That's it.
Yeah,
no personality.
Which again, people are like, oh, I'm sure they have a great personality. Or when you get to that point, it's like, I'm sure they do. Because again, the writing in Owl House is phenomenal.
I trust them.
But here's the thing. From fan art, I'm not getting any of that. I'm not getting a single thing. From things that I see people talk about, I don't get a single thing from their personality. I literally don't know anything about them besides what they look like.
Yoinks.
And
I don't know what you've told me.
And that's really, really bad. Because, again, it makes people be like, oh, okay, so they have that, I guess, hopefully. And it makes people less likely to even check out the media. Because I know another good example of this was, it took a really long time for me to get Cody into watching Steven Universe back when Steven Universe was big.
Oh,
because all Cody ever knew about it was he's like, it's the lesbian show, right? And he didn't mean it in a derogatory way. He just knew that.
No, that's what you got. That's what Steven Universe was. Even though it wasn't even about the lesbian.
Exactly. You know, which they're not even lesbians because they're space rocks. Like
they're literally rocks.
They're like, yeah. But, you know, when I finally like got him to watch it, because it was the same with me, I didn't really want to watch Steven Universe either. And then you have people who are like, oh, so you don't like representation. No, I want proper representation in media. But if the only thing you can tell me about a show is, oh, it's LGBTQIA+, that doesn't tell me a single thing about the show.
That is why I absolutely refuse to label my game like that.
Yeah. Because
I don't want it to be boiled down to something that really doesn't represent it.
Yeah, and while it's awesome because, hi, gay people exist, but they are people, and I would kind of like for us and a fandom as a whole to get over just like, well, they gay.
I would like me and my friends to be more than a label. That would be very nice.
Yeah, exactly. And going into that, we also have written down
oh, gosh.
Hades, the game Hades.
I know nothing about this game except for that. I didn't even know that the main character wasn't Hades.
I
don't
didn't
even
either.
know
I
who
thought
he
he
is.
was Hades too, because that's
I
how
thought he
everyone
was
said.
Hades.
Yeah, because
And then,
nobody online at all uses his real name.
no,
So I was
they
like,
don't.
yeah, I was like, oh, it's Hades, and they're like, no, because isn't he supposed to be like Hades' son or something? I think is the implication. Maybe.
I've gotten that kind of.
Yeah. I also didn't know until I didn't know Hades was like a dungeon crawler until I watched the Nintendo Direct because of the fan art and how people talk about it. Literally, people are and I'm sitting here like, oh, it's a dungeon crawler. Honestly, I thought it was a visual novel. That's what I thought it was.
That's the same impression I was under. I was like, oh man, this game's gonna be so cool. I'm gonna play it. I love like Greek mythology. I love like
your
visual
game,
novels. And then
your game is also a visual novel. Like you love visual novels.
I love visual novels. But then I was like dungeon crawler, and I was like, ooh, now I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah, because again, to each his own. I think a good example, just real quick, of like a game with a bumpin' story, but I think is terrible gameplay, is The Last of Us. I love The Last of Us story. I had to watch my husband play it. When I tried playing it on my own, I hated it. I hated every moment of the gameplay.
That's me with so many games.
I hated everything, but I loved the story. And with Hades, though, I don't like dungeon crawlers. My husband doesn't like dungeon crawlers. And
I'm too stupid for them.
And
I'm
the couple
sorry.
of like Let's Plays I've watched with dungeon crawlers, they're not that much fun. I'm just like, okay. And I'm sure the story's great and the artwork looks awesome.
The artwork is beautiful. I bop to Eurydice's theme all the time.
Yeah,
the
music is great. But the thing is, again, with everything I see in the fandom, I just see ships. And
just
so
the one
originally,
ship too.
originally I was like, oh, cool. Is it confirmed that this character is LGBT+? And from what I've found and looked up, no. It's just that implied thing. And there are no ships in the game besides the canon ones in Greek mythology. If you have played the game, and I'm wrong, and Wikipedia lied to me, feel free to correct me in the comments. I will not be ashamed by that. But that's how I've seen it. And I think it goes into a thing because you think it's one thing and then it's not, which gets me into our next one, which was Bad Omens. When I first, because of the fandom with Bad Omens, now, to be fair, I know it's based off a Terry Pratchett book. I haven't read the book. I'm sorry. I know, it's blasphemy in the book community for people who don't like Terry Pratchett, but I think he's funny. Never read Good Omens. It's fine. I thought originally from everything I saw online, from the fandom, from people I follow, from people talking about it, and even some of the commercials, I took it as an angel and a demon who are in love with each other doing wacky shenanigans through time. That's what I thought it was.
It would have been banging if it was.
I know. Didn't know, which it is still a funny show, but when I watched the first episode and the Antichrist showed up, I'm like, hi, I haven't seen literally anything of you. I haven't seen anything of this. And then to go through the entire show, and then to just be bros, which I also think is awesome. Like, they are, in a way, platonic soulmates, but they are not a couple. At least from what I've seen. I know they got announced for a season 2. Maybe I'm going to eat crow and they're going to change it. But from what I know, from what my friends who read the book said, that the first season was the book.
Yeah, like, I know, like, people... I'm pretty sure the actors themselves are just like, yeah, they're gay, but I'm like, I'm sorry, you didn't write the story, so until it's, like, canon, it's not canon, no matter how much you want it to be.
It's a lot like the Dumbledore situation with Harry Potter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where, like, because we've also seen, because have you seen Fantastic Beasts 2?
Yes.
We don't talk about Fantastic Beasts 2. But in Fantastic Beasts 2, I remember a lot of people went to it for finally the confirmation that, you know, Dumbledore was in love with Grindelwald. Because we all kind of knew it reading the book. No. You got a very, very heavy implication, and then people are like, hey, are we gonna finally, like, I don't know, you don't even have to have them full on make out at the end of it like they did with Voltron, because at the end of Voltron, that also made me really mad, that all of a sudden, they're like, oh, because I thought, oh, cool, you know, what's his name, Shiro? It's been so long.
Yeah,
Was it Shiro?
I watched the first season. It's Shiro, yeah, the guy with the black and white hair.
Yeah. Where they're like, cool, Shiro's gay. I really liked that. I would have liked, you know, more interactions with him and his boyfriend before his boyfriend died. But then to pair him up at the end of the series and have him have a wedding and then make out with some random guy, I didn't feel anything behind it, because it was like, okay, cool. Like, I knew he was gay, but, like, who's this guy and why do I care? Like, it seemed really pandering to
Forced.
people instead of it being natural and being a thing that could have, meant something more to people. And that's what I feel like a lot of people were having, because then when the Harry Potter thing was coming out, a lot of people were like, hey, director of the Fantastic Beasts franchise, we're gonna have, like, actual confirmation that, Dumbledore is gay, and or maybe something about prejudice in the Harry Potter world, because we know that exists.
Maybe.
They have prejudice in the Harry Potter world.
Not time period accurate prejudice.
Well, yeah, not time period accurate, but I was okay with that. I was okay with it not being time period accurate.
It's a magical world.
Because it's a magical world. Exactly. I am so sick of fantasy stories that when they do something, they're like, all right, we have to keep to, Eurocentric sexism in a fantasy world that doesn't have the same things. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, but like, why? Or why don't we, I don't know, mix it up? Have it be the opposite, where it's a matriarchy instead of a patriarchy,
please.
Something different. But no, they keep a lot of the same rules. And so I thought, okay, maybe they're going to talk something about whole, like, because I remember in Fantastic Beasts, they talked about how in America at the time, marrying a muggle was, like, illegal. It was a whole big thing. It was illegal there. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Are we gonna have them bring up at least something naturally about, same-sex couples to be why? Besides, because I've seen people be like, well, it was the 20s, and I'm like, cool, it was the 20s, but they've proven that in the magical world things are different. You know what I mean? Like,
where in Harry Potter did y'all get any indication that was gonna be a thing?
But that's what I mean, is, the people are doing it and they watch it and they're like, oh, we got baited again. And I think that's a really bad problem, is a lot of people talk about, like, queer baiting and doing stuff like this, but then we have people latch onto things.
It's like the opposite.
Like, what do you mean?
We're queer baiting ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what's really irritating, is it's because, like, and then when I read really good stories that have really good representation, no one talks about it. Because it's not the ships they like. Or it's not the headcanons they like. Or, God forbid, they make an LGBT plus character, do something not ooh-woo perfect.
Wow.
And
problematic LGBTQ characters? No.
Well, no,
that's
of course
illegal.
not. We can't have that. People can't be
all
flawed.
Ooh-woo soft babies.
Yeah, people can't be flawed. Come on. Every lesbian has to be swathed and every gay has to be masculine.
Yep. And the haircut is important.
And every NB has to be a question mark. No, that's not how it works.
Oh gosh. I feel so sorry for all our NB friends.
God, I do too. But it makes me so mad when fandoms do this, because again, have your headcanons. That's fine.
Please,
but when you take it to such a degree that you ruin the thing for other people, or you describe it in such a bad way that you're not even describing the same story,
it's rough.
You're literally setting yourself up for failure. Like I said, I stayed away from Owl House like a hot poker, because literally all I knew was, okay, it's got gay in it. And for some people that might be like, ooh, that's awesome.
That might be enough, yeah.
For me, I'm like, no, I need a plot. Because
I'm very plot-oriented.
Because there's a lot, which it does. Owl House has a great plot.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, I cannot sing enough praises about Owl House.
I know, same. I mean, same with Genshin. Genshin's got a plot. I think it's a whack plot, but it's a fun plot. You know what I mean?
I think that makes it better, though.
Yeah, exactly. But
if it was just like, vanilla plot, gotcha game, I'd be like, yeah, you played them all.
To go back to IDV, when I tell people, when they want to get into it, like, because I told people, they're like, oh, I'm like, I hope you like playing Dead by Daylight mechanics, because that's the main gameplay of the game.
When I describe it to people, I'm like, bro, like, Coraline meets Dead by Daylight.
Literally.
And that's accurate.
Yeah. And it's cool, and it's fun, and they do mini games and special events and stuff in the game, but that's what it is. So people aren't going to get into it and be like, oh, so it's an action-adventure RPG or something, Or, like, another one. Or, like, again, we'll go back to what we originally had with JoJo, where it was like, oh, yeah, it's, it's
super, like, ooh.
You have to, or another big one I saw with JoJo, I know we're all over the place, but this is, like I said, it's like a podcast style format of us rambling, where, literally, in JoJo, like, you have people who have... I've also heard people be like, if you don't know, like, 80s rock bands, you're not gonna get the characters.
Oh,
and I'm
gosh,
like, there's nothing about the characters besides the names. Like...
You know, like, we'll be like, ooh, Speedwagon, I get it. I'm old.
Yeah.
Like, no, buddy, I could have watched the same exact show without knowing who REO Speedwagon is and be just fine.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Like...
Sorry, I listen to dad rock, but, like, you don't need it to enjoy JoJo.
Well, again, and we'll go back to the original thing, though. It started the whole tangent with frickin' Bloodborne, you know what I mean?
Slurps.
Yeah, will I admit it's kind of a hard game? Yeah, but you get the mechanics really easily. Like, because it's a hack and slash. Again, not a single person described it to me as a hack and slash. Whenever I see stuff online, they never describe it as a hack and slash. It is a hack and slash.
They make it seem like you have to be so meticulous and, like, gentle and, like, sneak around. I'm like, no, you hit people.
Yeah, you see big spoopy werewolf man, you hit him with your big axe.
You get hurt, you heal.
Yeah.
You die,
you drink blood.
You drink blood, you come back. It's all good.
But it's so aggravating because I see it so much, and then when people get into it, they're like, oh, this is literally nothing at all what I expected. Now, obviously, am I saying that are we dictating how people should draw and do fan art if it brings them genuine serotonin or joy?
Definitely not.
No, not at all. But what I'm saying is just, I wish more people were more honest about materials that they really enjoy. Like, for me, another big thing, and I can end it off here, you can end it off on one that you think of too, is I am a huge BioShock fan. I love the BioShock fandom. I love all the games. It has a very special place in my heart. They are in no way perfect games. I will not put them up as perfect games. I will openly admit when they have faults and people point out things. But when I recommend it to somebody, I'm like, do you like a steampunk, post-apocalyptic first-person shooter where you're under the sea? Then with like a 1950s, 60s aesthetic? That's BioShock.
See, mine doesn't work as well because mine is Skyrim, and I'm like, it is the stupidest game. It has so many glitches. It is stupid, but it is the funnest game on the planet. Like, if you ever wanted to be in Lord of the Rings, boom, Skyrim. Like,
I mean, honestly, like, that's okay. On Skyrim,
I run around
because
stealing food. Like, that's what I do.
I also love Skyrim a lot. But I don't know. I know there are people that exist, but out of all of my friends and people I see online, I don't know a single person that's like, you know what the best part of Skyrim is? The Stormcloaks. Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You know?
Oh my gosh, I had a tiny little tryhard ask me Imperials or Stormcloaks, and I'm like, Assassin's Guild.
Vampires. Hello.
Stealing the Jarl's food off his table. The Daedric god of madness. What are you on?
Getting was it Serena or Selena? The vampire queen with the Elder Scroll on her back, you get in the DLC.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know, going off into a tomb where you get a freaking steampunk crossbow and being like, go hunt some vampires, and then you find a really pretty goth lady in a tomb with a scroll. That's just now your buddy.
She's so pretty, and she's so sweet.
But yeah, I will be honest, I've played Skyrim for years, and I've replayed it countless times. I've never finished the game. I've never done the main plot.
I've never finished the game. I have it on several different platforms. I'm just vibing. I'm literally there to vibe.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, and most people, I think Skyrim's a good example on actually how to end this whole thing, because we didn't have an ending. We literally just wrote like shows and stuff we want to talk about, but we had, like, so many people who played Skyrim who, because it's such an old game and so many people talked about it, a lot of people know that it's dumb, stupid fun. It is just, you know, you're doing this and that, and a lot of people will kind of agree that it's not there, but there is a vocal minority that is all about, like, I remember I talked to someone who was a Skyrim bro once, where she was telling me about how she, like, mid-maxed a punching character to, like, break it so she could, like, punch a dragon. And I'm like, that sounds really funny. It's like, yeah, but the game wasn't fun anymore after I did that. And I'm like, okay, then start over? Like, if it's not fun anymore, then...
I'm literally running around with a crossbow, or, bow and arrow that steals souls.
I forgot about the stealing souls weapons. I love those. Yeah,
I love them so much. And like, oh gosh, just watching the characters ragdoll, I cannot imagine. There are so many. I don't even know how many people are, but there are still people that are like, Skyrim is a masterpiece of video game history, and I'm like, no, it's a crappy game where you can ride a horse directly up a mountain.
Yeah,
It's bad. You get hit by a troll, you fly into the nth dimension. Like, it's stupid.
You can summon a ghost horse. You can get a house.
You can get a house. You can get a little waifu, a little husbando. Your children can adopt a giant crab. Like,
I forgot about the kids adopting a mud crab. I forgot about that.
I hate mud crabs. Listen, you can beat the crap out of a dragon, and then this stupid little crab is like, "Hey, I'm gonna beat you up."
Yeah. But
it's so funny.
It is, but like that's the thing. And I also think, again, ending on Skyrim, I think a reason why Skyrim did so well because I've seen a lot of people who are like, ugh, Skyrim, it's so overdone. I'm like, you want to know why it's so overdone? Because it's fun to play. The reason why it was ported to hell and back was because people enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, like I said, I have it on every platform it's available.
I do too. I will admit, I do not have it on Xbox because I just got my Xbox.
I don't have an Xbox.
Yeah, I got my Xbox One like kind of recently, so I don't have it on Xbox, but I do have it on my Switch. I do have it on my PS4. We got it on the PS3 when it came out, and then my friend gifted it on the PC for me like kind of recently. So yeah, I do have it on every platform. But like, yes,
it's worth it.
It's really fun and stupid and great. But if you see people just try to like tour de force Skyrim, because I've also seen people do that too, it'd be like, yeah, why would I really play that? That doesn't sound like a lot of fun. I guess the moral of it is stop being a fun sucker. I don't know how to end this.
Being a fun sucker and stop describing things
poorly.
Like, yeah, you're not cool, bro, just because you make a game sound bad.
So yeah, a game or a show, or if to try to hype up a show or a game, you like talk down something else.
Yeah, don't do that about anything.
Yeah, so
never compliment anything by putting anything down. That's a good lesson.
There we go. Yeah, that should be a good thing. So I hope you guys had fun. Let me know if I should do more of these with my friends, because me and my friends, this is stuff we just talk about like a lot, actually.
Free content.
Yeah, but yeah, if you want to support me or my friend Quan, our info's in our link tree, or both of our social medias in my description down below. And I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.